What's up everybody, GenExDividendInvestor here. In this video I'm going to analyze if Tesla, a company I'm long in, can disrupt classic utility dividend companies and thus stocks such as Duke Energy and Southern Company, both of which I'm also long in, and then I'll end this video with a valuable life story you'll want to hear. Now this particular video really hits home for me because one of my college buddies lives in Austin, and the recent freeze they had when the insane weather hit Texas and the associated power outages proved to me that energy infrastructure needs to evolve, and I believe that Tesla will be part of the solution of what is needed. Do you know how crazy it was in Texas? People were literally dying to the cold. My friend was huddled at a neighbor's house with his wife and kids and was using some propane tanks for short periods of time to heat things up, but he said he had to keep turning them off due to various concerns of leaving them on too long. Thus, I recommend you watch this entire video. Please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and click that bell notification. Finally, consider sharing this video with one of your mortal enemies, in hopes of building peace with them. So it was actually my wife that gets the credit for us finally investing in Tesla. I'd been watching Tesla on the sidelines, but she was excited to invest in them, so I did so partly because I believed in them, and partly because I wanted to invest in something that my wife was interested in. And now here we are up around 600% on Tesla in a relatively short amount of time, so I guess it's better to be lucky than smart. So could Tesla disrupt utilities? I think the big question you need to answer for yourself is, do you think the future will be one where most homes install solar panels for electricity and then have giant rechargeable batteries to store and use that solar energy? And if so, when do you think that will happen? Or do you think the giant monopolistic utility companies will continue to flourish during your investing lifetime? So, I personally think that Tesla is in the distributed energy business, but it will take some time to get to a point of significant disruption. I also think that some utility companies will evolve to remain relevant by doing things such as partnering with Tesla or similar companies, as well as may flourish due to investing in appropriate technologies. And then some utilities won't, and they'll lose. In my opinion, Tesla has started with electric vehicles as the main focus of Chapter 1 of their legacy. But I think I'd be foolish if I didn't consider that Chapter 2 goes to better capturing and storing electricity at a much grander scale. Because ultimately they're a technology and design company that is focused on energy innovation, and in particular in capturing, storing, and releasing safe, cheap energy on demand. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have some similar business strategies. Bezos started with e-commerce and then used the core technology he built to expand into other areas, which is how he captured the cloud space. Now he's going into food and pharma and others. Elon disrupted the automobile space and now is using his core technology to expand into electricity generation and storage. In fact, Musk said that Tesla Energy is becoming a distributed global utility that could outgrow its automotive business. If cars are a $100 billion vertical, then utilities are a $1 trillion business. So I think you can see why people are excited about Tesla's future. Musk also said that Tesla's mission from the beginning has been to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. That means sustainable energy generation and sustainable energy consumption. So does Elon think utilities are screwed? Well, a few years ago, Musk said that the future for utilities was actually probably bright, pun intended. Why? Because he sees a future where we have an ongoing shift to an electricity-based economy, causing the demand for electricity to grow significantly, creating a massive market for utilities to prosper. He thought there'd be plenty of need for a central station power and the grid that utilities provide. Thus, he predicts a future where utilities are thriving and Tesla is thriving. That being said, I personally feel that utilities need to evolve faster to ensure their long-term viability. Let's look at some data to help inform our decision-making and forecasting based on how things are trending. Here's a graph that shows the cumulative installations of solar megawatt direct power in the United States from 2006 to 2020 for residential, non-residential, and for utilities. So we see that over time solar is becoming significantly more prevalent. What about jobs? Here we also see that solar jobs are generally trending up. How about prices? Here we see that solar prices are declining, and it looks like they have dropped about 70% since 2010. How about the efficiency and performance of solar over time? The efficiency of solar panels and batteries are increasing. Now, is it worth it for someone to get solar panels and such on their house, which is a step towards potentially harming utilities? Well, that depends on a bunch of factors like knowing what local or federal rebates and incentives you can get, your area's sunlight exposure, plus the cost to install and maintain a system, the electricity cost trends from your utility, and some other factors. It usually takes many years to have a positive ROI on a solar installation. But as costs keep going down and as efficiencies keep going up, that proposition will probably become more and more compelling. So how does Tesla factor into this? Well, Tesla has multiple products they're selling. First, they have solar panels that you can put on existing roofs with a money-back guarantee at the time of me filming this. Beyond that, they kept innovating and now they have a solar roof, which has solar tiles that are 3 times stronger than normal tiles that you use on a roof, and they look pretty spiffy. Spiffy was my grandmother's favorite word. I think we gotta bring it back. Tesla recently reported that their solar roof deployments have tripled, and the neat thing is that they can get a solar roof built in 1.5 days. So now they are onboarding tons of electricians and roofers to grow that business vertical. So as you take in solar energy, you want a place to store it, and that's Tesla's home energy system called the Powerwall, which you can think of as a rechargeable battery. Powerwalls are now installed at over 50,000 sites around the world, and some places you can sell energy back to the grid, which helps save you money and helps the grid when it needs power. Then the next step up is the Powerpack and Megapack, which you can think of as larger battery farms that can help utility companies with larger scale power needs. When you combine these battery packs into one another, you get enough power for some cities. For example, in Southern California, they deployed 80 megawatt hours of power packs, and then they deployed 129 megawatt hours of battery storage in Australia. The Tesla Australia project was one which works for 4,000 houses. That project cost around $67 million, whereas a normal project would have cost 10 times that. They also stood it up in a few months. Megapack comes from the Tesla factory fully assembled and can now be deployed quickly, 4 times faster than a traditional fossil fuel energy plant. And of course, Tesla is often greener than the options that some utilities would use. Another cool aspect of the Tesla batteries is that they're basically instantaneously on when power is demanded. Tesla Energy is also now in some United Kingdom projects at utility scale. In Tesla's recent Q3 update presentation, they announced that their energy business reached record deployments and that demand for the Powerwall remains strong and is growing. At Tesla Battery Day, Musk said that Tesla will manufacture battery cells in-house to aid in their rapid expansion plan. Doing this should help further reduce cost and improve efficiency and performance. One of the neat things about their large battery packs is that they can act as a sustainable alternative to natural gas peaker plants, which normally fire up when the local utility can't provide enough power to meet peak demand. Normally, utilities use peaker plants, which are often coal or gas, and which can sit idle until everyone is turning on their AC and the utility needs to deliver more energy to deal with spikes in usage. So if Texas had some of Tesla's technology in place, then when the sudden unexpected freeze hit, then they might have better been able to meet the peak demand rather than rely on their peaker plants, which didn't quite cut it. So Tesla can be a key factor in helping stabilize energy needs and act as a lower cost, more reliable peaker plant. A Tesla subsidiary called Gambit Energy Storage is reportedly constructing a large battery that can plug right into Houston's power grid and service over 10,000 homes. Speaking of solar power remained relatively unknown until this guy named Al Einstein brought attention to it in a paper he wrote in 1904. Fun sidebar, I have a relative who used to live in New Jersey, and once when she was a kid, her and her father picked up a hitchhiker. It turns out that hitchhiker was Albert Einstein. Crazy, huh? Anyways, what Elon is enabling is energy deregulation and decentralization. It's kind of like putting power in people's hands, rather than that of a big central entity. That's a double word entendre score right there. So for those of you that don't know this, utilities are basically regional energy monopolies that are large investor-owned companies. But unfortunately, you often can't choose where your power comes from, even if you don't like what your utility company is doing. Now, historically, I felt that my utilities are bonds of my portfolio. They usually have lower betas, which is a measure of the volatility or a systematic risk of a security as compared to the market as a whole, which is part of why I prefer low beta dividend portfolios and my low beta utility stocks, whereas I'm okay with my higher betas in my growth portfolio. So with utilities, you often don't see as much upside movement, but you also tend not to see as much downside movement, and all the while they keep paying me cash flow. Of course, there can be exceptions like Pacific Gas and Electric, ticker PCG, which crashed after their horrific accident in the 2019 wildfire in California. So utilities aren't obviously as safe as US Treasury bonds, but in the context of a portfolio, they've been pretty reliable. So given this risk of disruption, what can utilities do? Well, they can partner with Tesla and buy their products. Utilities could also try to innovate faster, though many don't have great track record of quick innovation. So how big would this be? I think it could be trillions big. How long do utilities have until significant disruption? I'd guesstimate around 10 to 20 years. I'm sure some people would say it's faster than that, and others would say it's way longer or never. So given those beliefs of mine, I attempt to ensure my income streams and portfolio wins out whether Tesla is a disruptor or if they aren't. My plan is to get consistent passive utility income for at least 10 more years, and then around then is when my higher CAGR stocks more than take over if utilities get materially disrupted, and if they don't then great, they keep delivering income. Of course, that also assumes that Tesla keeps delivering and winning. If they don't, someone else will. Tesla once moved their employees off solar and onto the Tesla 3 project to avoid bankruptcy. So Tesla has had some close calls in its history and could have more issues in the future, like any company. So if Tesla did disrupt the utilities, how much would I guesstimate that their stock could increase by? I think a double or a triple wouldn't surprise me. Of course, it may be a very bumpy ride, so don't jump on unless, like always, you're comfortable losing. The crazy thing is, while I'm talking about Tesla disrupting utilities, the reality is they also are disruptive to some facets of oil. But maybe I'll leave that for another video. Now I'm going to switch gears and tell you a valuable life story I found online that is worth hearing and reflecting on. There once was a little girl who desperately needed an emergency blood transfusion to save her life. Her only chance of surviving would be to get a transfusion from her younger brother, who had miraculously overcome the same disease she had and therefore had antibodies in his blood that were needed to fight the illness. The doctor explained to the little boy that it would save his sister's life if he were to give her his blood. The boy hesitated for a moment before agreeing to give his blood if it would help his sister. At the age of 5, this was scary, but he would do anything to save his big sister's life. As the blood transfusion was happening, he lay next to his sister in the hospital and was overcome with happiness as he saw the color coming back to her cheeks. Then he looked up at the doctor and quietly asked, "When will I start to die?" The boy had assumed that he was giving his life in order to save hers. The little boy's parents were astonished over the misunderstanding that led the boy to think that they were choosing his sister over him, and even more astonished that he had agreed to do so. The doctor quickly replied, explaining that he was not going to die, he was just going to allow his sister to live a long, healthy life alongside him. Moral of the story? This is an example of extreme courage and self-sacrificing love from a young boy that we can all learn from. The love and care that he showed for his sister relays an inspiring message about selflessness. While we may not be faced with such a life or death decision, being selfless in general can help us connect with others, which is rewarding and fulfilling. Selflessness encourages you to act from your heart instead of your ego, and can help fill your life with love. Okay, moving on. Now I'd like to shout out Jawad, who just signed up as a Patreon King, which gives him all the perks of the Patreon Champion and Patreon Aristocrat tiers, and also gets a monthly 30-minute private Discord call with me where he can talk about whatever he wants. And I'd like to shout out 13 of my newest Patreon Aristocrats. So thank you Kevin B, thank you JB, thank you V$, thank you Boham, thank you Justin N, thank you Watterson, thank you Anthony H, thank you Don614856, thank you PS, thank you Bsal, thank you Jason Bourne, thank you Stephanie L, and thank you Chris S. As an aristocrat, they get a variety of perks such as access to my new Dividend Spreadsheet 2.0 product, and to multiple private channels on my Discord, including one where I let people watch my videos before I release them to the public, as well as vote on some thumbnails I'll use in my videos, as well as get direct access to me. I also shout you out in a video and add you to the scrolling ticker on the bottom of my videos. All of those perks are subject to availability, but as of the moment I'm filming this video, they are all available. Finally, I highly recommend that you join my free Dividend Discord chat server, which has thousands of Dividend investors on it from around the world. Please consider hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing if you haven't yet, and click that bell notification. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again real soon. I am not a financial advisor, and these videos are for entertainment, inspiration, and educational purposes only. Investing of any kind involves risk. I am only sharing my opinion with no guarantee of gains or losses on investments.